Call order May 18th, Alger County Board of Commissioners meeting. Roll call.
Commissioner Hughes,
Here.
Commissioner Middleton, here, Commissioner Rondo,
Here.
Commissioner Siebert,
Here.
Commissioner Siebert.
Here. Pledge allegiance, start from. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brief public comments. Once. One place. No public comment. Agenda. We've got some add-ons. Agenda, we'll see. You wanna add anything on there?
Potentially for an ambulance.
We want to probably leave that down for discussion. That if staff comments,
Are you guys gonna be in closed session for a long time though?
I don't think we're gonna be in closed session. That's just my, I don't know.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I just read that on there and I'm like,
Yeah. Any other ideas on that?
I was just putting it right before the closed session, just this week.
Okay, so
Just
put it
go in there, that way we're not holding anybody up that doesn't
17,
wanna stick around and come back.
17B. To go to ambulance. That's it. Any changes, anybody got it, or? I got a motion on there.
You just move the agenda as amended. I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Agenda. Consent agenda. Everybody have a chance to look at that? Any questions?
No questions.
No. Motion?
Some
yeah.
No support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Number 7. Pathways, annual report.
Afternoon. My name is Matt Mascart, CEO of Pathways Community Mental Health. Here for the annual review of Pathways. Historically, we've done it prior to last year, have done it just by submitting our annual report. I felt that this was a better option to be face to face with you all and to give a little bit more color commentary, so to speak, of what's going on with Pathways and what's been successful and what's been a challenge in the last year. So before I kind of roll into it, for those commissioners that didn't get a chance to kind of hear a little bit of the brief overview of what Pathways is and does, I'll recap that real briefly. Pathways Community Mental Health serves right around 3,000 individuals here in Alger, as well as Luce, Delta, and Marquette counties. Our mission statement is to serve and empower those with severe mental illnesses, severe emotional disturbances, and intellectual and developmental disabilities to enhance their quality of life. So in our mission statement, there's really 2 parts. It's serving and empowering, that we're trying to work with individuals towards their recovery, which is right at the end of our mission statement. And it covers the primary populations. So severe mental illness, that's those individuals with adults with bipolar or schizophrenia, that type of, or severe mental health issues. Severe emotional disturbances which is children with sometimes childhood trauma and other areas of severe mental illness for youth, as well as intellectual and developmental disabilities. Those are adults and children with genetic issues and other intellectual and developmental ailments. So what's common amongst all those is severe and persistent. So the Michigan Mental Health Code, established in 1974, puts the community mental health at our primary populations are those that are severe and persistent. The example I like to give is that somebody that comes in, an adolescent, let's say, comes in, broken up with his girlfriend. He's been sad for the last couple of weeks, but is still able to go to school, still be able to attend his job. Wouldn't be severe and may not be persistent, meaning that it is short. And that, but the individual would potentially come to Pathways. We go through a screening and say, you know what, you're not severe and persistent. You don't meet our primary populations, but we can help you find and refer you out to other community providers. So that's where Pathways serves just a carve out is what it's considered of those that are severe and persistent. So we serve those individuals with right around 200 staff members throughout the 4 counties. And if you're following along with the my kind of the slides, so to speak, we've had a steadily increase from 2019 through 2024. 25, we had a little bit of a regress back in the number of individuals we served, but overall we served 5% more individuals year over year for the past, was that 6 years or so? The blue and yellow bars there are broken. It's the same information that's broken down into counties by age, by adult or children. These numbers differ a little bit than what you'll find in the official annual report that's in your packet as well. Because we have individuals that come into our area. A great example is a student that comes up to NMU and ends up having a mental health break and ends up at the hospital, but they're from Kalamazoo County. They would be listed as Kalamazoo County. The bars you see on the third slide there is just those that are served for Alger, Delta, Luce, and Marquette counties. So over under our funding sources, we're virtually identical as far as percentages go year over year between the funding sources and the operating expenses. Funding sources still are Medicaid. The feds pick up 65% of all Medicaid costs. The state picks up 35%. Healthy Michigan is expanded Medicaid. This is Obamacare, expanded Medicaid that came out years ago. The feds still pick up 90% of that, and the state picks up 10%. And I'll explain why that's important here in a little bit. But the rest of our funding sources are there listed as well. Operating is contract residential is the big one. So back in the 1974, when the Michigan Mental Health Code came out, the push was really to get individuals out of the state hospitals into their communities. This is kind of reflective in what that dark green, 60%, not even 40% of the budget is of individuals. It's about 144 individuals that are here in the UP that are in residential group homes, and another 30 or so that are downstate because of either lack of availability or the acuteness of what they have going on has these individuals downstate. Successes and challenges is kind of on the last slide with any content on it. We continue to try to build our culture at Pathways. The Bell Seal for workplace mental health is Mental Health America, I think is what the organization is called. They rate the internal culture for organizations outside of not only just the mental health world, but for profit, nonprofit, doesn't matter. And they kind of group them out and then give them a grade similar to Olympic medals, bronze, silver, gold, but in this case it's platinum as well. Pathways now has received the Platinum Award for the last 3 years running. And you can see there, it was, what was that, 2023? We had a gold as our first year. So we continue to kind of grow and learn from that, as well as our CARF accreditation to kind of continue to improve not only the services that we deliver, but also the culture that we have to be able to retain the staff that we have to provide the best quality services. One of the big successes that I've got to absolutely have to bring up is the psychiatric residency program. Our medical director stood up a program that is bringing in residents, soon to be doctors, psychiatrists, finishing up their education through this MSU rural track, so it's MSU students that are right up in Marquette, as well as Beaumont Health downstate as a hospital. So we've partnered with them to provide I think it was 4 residents that we had for 2025. We're upping that to 7 coming up. So they provide us services and supports to our those we serve, and we provide them the instruction and the exposure to it. So we're really hoping to continue to grow that. It provides additional resources for pathways, and hopefully it gets people to fall in love with working here in the with the public mental health system, and they can work in and around the community, or with pathways, or with one of the other CMHs, and we hope that we can continue to grow that. So the as far as the threats go, we've had a couple this year that have been big ones. Starting in early 2025, February or so, the Department of Health and Human Services announced a project to move forward with a request for proposal. They were looking to contract out the services that were paid by our prepaid inpatient health plan. And think of it as managed care organization. They get the money in and they distribute it out to the CMHs. They wanted to reduce the number of those organizations throughout the state, as well as allow for-profit organizations to bid on that. It caused a major stir amongst the community mental health, because it would essentially privatize and change the full dynamics of what we were doing. The RFP was found to be incongruent with state statute, and the Department of Health and Human Services thus removed or rescinded the RFP. But it caused a significant amount of time and wasted throughout the year, with lawsuits and just distractions from what we were trying to do. Lately, the latest kind of change in our system, not privatization, but just in a change in our system, is what Senator McBroom is proposing. He has a bill at this point that is in draft, finishing the 3rd revision as far as I understand it, that would fundamentally change the community mental health in Michigan, Upper Michigan. Right now, there's 5 community mental healths in the UP. We're obviously the one in the middle. And what that would do is, from his bill, it envisions having an Upper Peninsula Mental Health Authority. So that authority would be the entire UP. It would also encompass the prepaid inpatient health plan. That's North Care. That's the Medicaid managed care organization, and would also stand up a state inpatient facility. That would mean that the sheriffs, rather than having to transport downstate to one of the 4 state inpatient hospitals or the forensic center downstate, would have the potential for transporting right here into the UP. I applaud Senator McBroom's tenacity to try to continue to build with us. He's worked a lot of years on trying to build this forward and design this plan. Unfortunately, it comes with significant challenges that I don't believe can get off the starting line. There's a significant startup cost and hurdles to jump through for a state hospital. Not only is it financially a huge undertaking, but also staffing. As I'm sure you know, in small communities, it's hard to get staff in the first place. And with a shrinking population here in the UP, it's not looking positive. It adds a lot of additional liabilities to the CMH, which then creates the instability for it. Now, as far as the combining into one CMH, it also loses at this point, the Alger County has Commissioner Hughes on the board, the Pathways Board, that would be diluted to one of, it would change significantly within the UP of the influence and the local autonomy. So
Would they have one per county then, or would they just go with like they are now?
It would just be, rather than the 5 CMHs, it would be 1. And then,
How would they delegate that? Have one delegate from each county, or would it be?
Board members.
there would be, it does, his bill, at least in the current draft, it would be the county commissioner would have, the counties would have similar, what they have now, appointing individuals into a board. But you'd be, rather than going from your, Commissioner Hughes is, one of 12 on my board, you go to one of 15 at the very least, and that's not taking into account size, and I have no idea how it would.
I'm just looking like right now. The 3 counties could vote for one thing, Marquette could vote for something else, and then Marquette's got control, and they have 6 come to where our 6, so the whole, all the 3 other counties.
Mhm.
The both. I'm just wondering how that would work, you know, if we went larger, maybe they'd cut it down to 1 per county for a delegate, and we'd have more of a vote, so I was wondering how that was. They had
And
that in the draft at all.
not that I'm aware of in the draft, so, and who knows what would come up with that, but there's, on top of that, there's an operational board that's made up of the, law enforcement, hospitals, and other organizations. So you have not only the governance board, but the operations board, and when we put in for-profit organizations on top of this for the operations, it gets to be unwieldy to kind of work with, potentially.
For profit on their, when they're the ones profiting, making decisions, I mean.
It has the potential for that.
Yeah.
If that wasn't enough challenges, the Department of Health and Human Services, this would change just for us here in the UP. I see it struggling. I see the department having some real problems with this on operationalizing, Senator McBroom's bill. So, we've got the 5 CMH CEOs have a letter that's drafted. It wasn't ready for tonight. I was hoping it would, but it's just not ready to get to the finish line. I'm hoping that'll be ready to go tomorrow. And at that point, I will send it over to the commission, for your review. But it's our analysis, of the proposal and its potential challenges.
So what is your view on that proposal? Your view,
My view,
pathways.
I think that there's always a room for looking at things and taking it and trying to work together. I applaud Senator McBroom's willingness to kind of step out and try to move forward with this. Unfortunately, I don't see it getting anywhere near the finish line. The limitation, the liability limitations, the financial implications of things, as well as the Department of Health and Human Services having to weigh in at some point to try to operationalize this doesn't work, and especially in a split legislature right now. The governor hasn't signed much of anything at this point, so for it to move from the Senate to the House and to the governor's desk, I just don't see it.
It seems like it's awfully big area
Mhm.
for, for one agency to cover. It's just, the miles are just, I don't think that's feasible. It may be downstate, where people are
Yeah.
congregated closer to each other, but up here, I can't see, wow.
I think to try to represent Ontonagon, for example, I don't know the culture, the needs for Ontonagon, let's say. And I think that what the Michigan Mental Health Code is really did is bring it into the community so that those that are leading this and being able to, can be stopped in the grocery store and say, hey, look, I've got a problem with this. Can you help me with it? And what you don't want to see is somebody on their ivory tower in Marquette making edicts for Ontonagon, let's say. So it is something that is difficult when you try to make a community and small focus so that you can really work with what the community needs are when you spread it out to all 15 counties. The other challenges that we have is there are changes that are coming from the One Big Beautiful Bill, or HR1. There's what's coming about next year is redetermination evals. So what right now somebody would get on Medicaid and then they're redetermined next year and every year, so on and so forth. They're moving those to every 6 months, and there's a work requirement. There are exceptions to those rules. But there will be a lot of administrative overhead to try to make that work. I've heard, conversations of hundreds of individuals within the Department of Health and Human Services that would be necessary on their side, let alone our side. And those individuals that are in unhealthy Michigan are likely those that are the ones that would drop off of that, the coverage. What that means is they drop off of coverage and then end up in the ER, let's say. That hits differently. Right now would be a drawdown of money from a Healthy Michigan pot of money. That changes them to general fund and local. It's a 90-10 split from the general fund and local. So that's where my general fund, one of my smaller chunks of allocated resources, is we got to watch that really closely. And because there's a relationship between general fund and local, this is a 90-10. The local is the smallest pot of money and the smallest sliver. And that's been frozen since 1998 when we became the authority. So there's some things that are happening at the national level that have the potential to cause some challenges for us, but we're watching that closely.
But it seems like you said you were platinum. You mentioned that word.
Mhm.
That if you took that, the whole UP wide, we kind of lose that.
It is specifically to our culture and how we manage our
Mhm.
policies and procedures. It depends. I mean, if it's you would want the best of breed, so to speak, of best of everything across all 5 community mental health, and maybe that would stay. But we'd be trying to blend 5 organizations, 15 counties, all into the same kind of culture that we would have the potential to lose that accreditation or the CARF accreditation for sure, but also the Bell Seal award, basically. So that's potential.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's the bulk of my report. I do have a couple other things if I've got time. The stack of papers, is it under? Here we go. The Rural and Frontier Caucus is I believe the next in your packet. This is a letter to the Alger County Commission regarding some boilerplate language that we're trying to get support for to move through the House appropriations and then and be inserted into the budget for 2027. There's 2 parts of this. First is that the rural is defined many different ways by the state, in usually ways that aren't conducive to rural. And I'll give you an example. The Rural Health Transformation Program was a program that was put forth for the One Big Beautiful Bill. We're taking some Medicaid away, but we're going to give the hospitals and the rural health care this one rural health transformation program of $50 billion. By the time that made it from the legislature to CMS to over to the Michigan politics, it changed a little bit, and the Michigan had to define what it meant for rural for them. Michigan had said that made it the definition to include Wayne County. Wayne County is the 19th largest county in the United States, and they considered them partially rural. So Representative Cabot, who's from Charlevoix, Representative Preston who's up here in the UP, and others went to Lansing and complained. I went to Lansing to the House Appropriations and said, you can't do this. This is ridiculous. Not only is it population density, but it's a distance to urban centers, to where these resources are available. I throw out on a regular basis that and my colleagues are shocked when I say it, that Alger County's got 1 grocery store for the entire county. Is that still accurate? Is there 2 now?
3.
Is there 3?
One in Emory, one in Houston, one in Chatham.
Okay, so you have 3 that service that. It's completely absurd that you compare that to any other.
Mile apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And we only got one stoplight.
I'll change my tune to stoplight for. So what we're trying to do is we're forcing a rural definition for the Department of Health and Human Services that would apply to everything that they're responsible for. Just that says population density and distance to urban center. That's part one. Part two is it creates a rural council within Department of Health and Human Services that anything that they push forward has to go through this rural council to say, you know what, rural can or can't do this. You need to change this before it even kind of becomes a administrative rule that this group can say, you know what, let's tweak this a little bit before we get to that point. So that's something that we're really trying to look for support from. And if at all possible, if I could get either a letter of support or a resolution from the county commission at some point, that would be extremely beneficial.
Do you have something wrote up already?
I do, I have both, and I both, there's counties that prefer one over another, and here you go, I've got both.
So it's always nice to have them start with.
Yep. Feel free to, of course, edit as you see fit, but that'll get you in the ballpark anyway. And I believe that's it. So I really appreciate your continued support. We appreciate Commissioner Hughes and his participation on my board. And do you have any questions for me?
Anybody?
I'm good.
No.
Thank you for coming, Matt.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
If there's anything you need at any time, feel free to look me up. I have a orientation to serve. So I'm here to serve my team so that they can serve in the greater community and those that we're responsible for. I look at you guys as the same way. I'm here to help you in your mission of properly running and supporting your communities.
I don't think I've ever heard anything bad with that, please.
And well, let's not have it start today. Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Okay. Number 8, Floyd Technologies. We don't have to agree to.
Should we agree to have Dean sign them?
Well,
Letters?
Letters.
What are you doing? How are you doing that?
we gotta draft up our own letter first.
Okay.
So,
Run it through for next month. And
yeah.
Okay. Okay, we got you.
Any other questions on that, Matt? No. That was number 8, deploy technology, small towns, AI pilot program. I was looking to see if there's anybody there, but you got the information to do that.
He's pretty slick.
It is.
Did us a solid and said he's gonna include it for free with our managed services.
For the first year,
For
then we don't even have to discuss
yeah,
this.
it'd be silly to say more at that point.
But we can hit on it. I don't know if you've heard of it at all.
No, I haven't heard of
Do you wanna give a small little,
He can't do his screen on that.
Yeah,
oh, no, I mean,
I can.
no, just
It's
to
hard
give,
do.
just to give a little.
So
topical.
it has replaced our search bar on our website, which was close to useless. And now it will look within the files themselves. So whereas before you'd be hard pressed to find just about anything, now it'll give you a summarized version of what you're looking for. It'll put references at the bottom. You can click to take you directly to the source that it's pulling from. Like I said, the biggest one is that it's actually looking inside the PDF. So it's reading the file itself and looking at the language and the words. So
You've got me lost, so.
yeah,
We, what it does,
makes it easier.
if we wanted something, say, the ambulance,
You as a community man.
yeah, as a
Oh,
community,
okay.
they can type in that search, our ambulance, and it'll go through all of our documents, all of our board
All our
minutes.
public documents.
Yeah, anything on our board minutes about ambulance, and it'll pop all that up, so you don't have to go through every board meeting to find anything of it, it'll automatically bring.
ChatGPT for the county.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
specifically made
Yeah.
for,
Mhm.
but then they've also got an admin side
Yes,
the
Yeah.
county
Which
should be able to log into, which
we've
goes
already,
deeper.
As long as I can't touch it, so I'm gonna that part out. As
That part, no.
long as I can
You can
use search.
search.
I like
You
it.
can just search.
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a huge.
Joel ran, it was you and I, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ran through a little demo and it was, I was like, man, that would have saved me a lot of time on a lot of things that I've gone back, tried to research and gone through one set of minutes at a time, one packet at a time, and yeah, this thing did in 25 seconds. It took me 2 nights of work to do, so.
And I think if any of us have any of your committee meetings, bring it up to different boards of this. That deploy has this option for them, that they, you know,
And they said they'd like to start branching out, so.
they're doing us a solid.
And letting us have it,
Let our,
demo.
any of our other boards.
Probably saves them some time with all the questions and phone calls. If it's easier to find, there's less people bugging them.
Well,
That is
From his point of view.
A lot less people calling Joel.
Yeah.
Well, and other departments too.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, any more questions on that?
Do we gotta approve the use of it or anything, or we just?
Preferably, I've already integrated into it, but if you voted no, I mean, you could stop doing it.
Formal thanks to deployed, I guess.
Do we have a motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion to accept it,
I'll second that.
It's- as long as it continues to be free, yeah.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we should actually, because it is going on our site, we should improve it. Okay, number 9, long-term airport lot lease agreement. Anybody?
I wasn't a part of it from the beginning, from the outside. It looks like all the bases were covered, no subleasing
There's a couple
responsibilities.
things
are
that
all
we do
right.
have to discuss.
Yeah, there's a highlighted section.
I printed it, I don't even know if it highlighted it when I printed it. So I might have to go back.
Chunk that got highlighted in
To
there.
get it, to find it. It didn't highlight my.
You're just looking for the chunk that I already had highlighted?
Yep.
That rules and regulations.
Yeah, then we have to put that together still. Yeah, one piece at a time.
There's a lot of pieces in there.
Yes, there is. This is just the next piece in the puzzle.
Okay, for rules and regulations for hangars, buildings and lease premises for Hanley Field. What part of that? Or do we have to change? That's just a change out.
That'll be a separate document
Okay,
that spells out. Setback,
What-
sizes, all kinds of, all the particulars of,
materials.
yeah, all that stuff.
Okay, there's another one. What's the other one, Joel? They ain't highlighted in here.
3.03, the.
Oh, the increase amount on the.
amount. Yeah, that's for the mother. 3 point what?
03.
3.
03.
Okay,
So what it boils down to is that if we do one of these and it's the first term to 30 years, not really fair to let them have the same price for
30 years.
30 years. You know, there's gonna be some increases. There was some, we looked, basically there's 2 ways you can do it. You can come up with a formula that you wanna use. You know, the one that was included in the piece we built this off of was very complicated, had to do with the gross index in Detroit and blah, blah, blah. So the first option was basically to take the average property increase for the county, the average property tax increase, and use that, or to just use a flat rate, which I think that's where Joel came up with the 3.03. It'd be a lot cleaner, a lot easier to just set,
But in 10 years from now, if that ever
and it
jumps
would
up,
Yeah,
increase,
just say
and it would increase every 5 years on the 0 and 5.
I know, but
only 3% over 5 years, that's moving downhill. 3% a year every year is like the minimum for any appreciation.
right, it would be at 5 years, it gets added to it. So in 5 years, it's gonna be like 15%. If we did the 3 point,
So it's accumulative, it just only gets adjusted. every
right,
5 years.
adjusted every 5 years, but it's accumulative.
I still think 3% is on the low side.
I like the idea of going by the average
Property tax.
property tax increase. Well, then it's
Over the 5 year period.
for the 5 years, that way I think it's more fair.
But if the 5 year average was,
Why
I'm
not?
trying to think of how to say this, that. It's not really a cumulative, like, you're not taking 3%, 3%, and charge it 15% at the end of 5 years. You do 5%. You do, at the end of 5 years,
What it
you take
was.
the average, and that's the increase, which may be less than 3%,
Ooh,
maybe more than 3%.
no,
Why don't you just
It-
take the
it needs-
actual value of the final year, subtract 5 year prior, and that percentage difference.
What I'm afraid of is that basically that adding every year, I've not seen that kind of formula in pretty much any of the ground leases I've looked at from all over.
You could use the state published rate of inflation.
But what I'm saying is, on these kind of leases, that would be very atypical to have that much of an increase. If there's
Well-
any increase, it's usually very minimal on these ground leases.
we have
From my
to keep,
research.
we have to keep up with
Inflation.
inflation and the cost of the property in Alger County. I mean,
But that's already in. I mean, it would just be raising the other part, so the annual ground rent shall be increased by the percentage which the taxable value of the county has increased over the past 5 year period.
right, and just leave it as that.
And erase the or some percent.
Right.
whichever is left.
Erase the other part. Cause that's a standard and that's done by an independent person, really. That's not done by us. So it keeps us out of it.
Yeah,
It's
And those were the two
right,
best options that we could come up with.
I would say that option is what I would favor. I don't know.
So it's, say the average is 3,333,5. The end of that, the rate's gonna go up. The 14%.
Yeah.
Is it gonna go up 14%, or is it gonna go up the average of the 3,335?
No, it's gotta go up 14%.
So as long as
It
it's
doesn't say
cumulative,
average. It would be-
No, that's what I'm asking.
as long as it's a cumulative, that's fine. We are gonna lose every year after the first year of a 5 year. lease.
Right, you lose a little bit, but then it gets caught up. Every 5 years, it gets caught up.
It doesn't, it's not compounding. If you take 100, you had 14%. You're gonna get an extra $14, so it's gonna be 114. Take 100. Times it by 1.03, and times it by 1.03, and 1.03, there's gonna be a significant difference.
Sure, I see what you're saying.
So you have
If
accruing
the 5 years
and
have gone up,
compounding, two different things.
right, it's gone up
We got
15% over 5 years,
We have to compound it.
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's only, what, $15 on $1,000?
Right. Well, $15 on 100, 15%.
Oh, yeah, so they're talking 150 on 1,000.
Yeah.
We just added compounded percentage.
Just, these are 30-year leases, so if it's not agreed that it's gonna compound for 30 years, that's gonna make a chunk of change difference.
Right.
You know, that's not gonna be no $150.
It's gonna be, say, 20 years from now, they're gonna be paying a lease that's way below the
Market value.
market value of the area. And we, as a county, we gotta,
We'll put in whatever you guys want, and
I think we gotta be fair as the county.
if they don't like it, they won't sign a lease.
Right. I would say that the annual
Go
lease
back to
price every year goes up the average, the same as the average tax.
And this, you gotta remember too, this is a signed thing. At any point, a new board and a new leasing can open it up to renegotiate on if there,
That language does not exist in there,
it doesn't.
not for a new board.
Even regardless, once we put this in place, there's gonna be at least one fella that wants a spot. So whatever we put in place is gonna have to stick for at least one guy for 30 years.
One
So,
guy, and then I've got a second guy that's,
yeah, they'll trickle in. as soon as
Once
this
it's
is-
open, then hopefully it'll
But-
take off.
Regardless, as long as it compounds, I would like to see it adjusted every year rather than every 5.
So what happens before that 30 years is up and the person that built that, constructed that happens to die or leave and he has no,
that is in there.
I couldn't find it.
The building itself.
It would go back to the, it can be dealt with under the default clauses.
Yeah.
Or just the fact that there's been a change.
Or
And if his heirs don't wanna pick it up,
Right,
that's basically, if his heirs don't wanna continue,
Yeah, it defaults back.
then
to the county.
then there's mechanism in there that says, this is the option 1, 2, 3, on down the line.
They can either sell it to somebody else that will use it for it.
That then has to sign a new lease with it.
Right.
You can't just pick up a new buyer, a new person. Outside of.
So then
They have to sign a brand new lease.
then that brand new lease is 30 years.
If it's their first one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
after,
he can have 20 years on this building,
yep,
sign a lease for 30 more years, and that building's only good for,
no,
that's all you just asked.
after the initial term of the 30 years,
Yeah.
it's renewable in 5-year increments.
Oh, okay.
After the first 30. What we were saying is if I have a hangar and I die at year 15 of my lease and my kids don't wanna, we don't want that. They can sell it to Dean, who then would have to sign a new 30-year lease. He can't just assume my lease. He would have to sign a new lease.
I thought you just said 5-year increment.
After the.
After the initial term. If I live 30 years,
I hate to be,
No, no.
anyway, after the 30 years, the original 30 years, then Dean gets it 5 years at a time.
You would have,
Because if he's had it for 20 years,
Yeah.
Dean signs an agreement for 30 years.
I'm a new lease.
he's a new lease.
I'm a new lease.
Friend, it's like
Yeah,
starting over
from
from
scratch.
scratch. Cause he's a new person.
Yeah,
So it starts at 30 years. You got a building that can last 50.
that's
that's,
Okay.
that's the.
that's the lease's problem.
That's, they pay to build their building, they might,
And
they're in there, they
there's-
must maintain it.
Yeah, there's costs in there for maintenance.
If it's falling apart, that defaults your lease.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole,
Yeah. That's all I got, was average rate of inflation to be adjusted every year instead of every 5.
That. And just more work on our end. If we do it 5 years
adding every
compounded.
5
Do these pay monthly?
yearly. for this.
Really? So once a year, we find out the rate that everybody's lease goes up.
I just went
I mean,
with,
we get-
I
we get-
went with the standard of.
You got input on it, Bill?
I don't have it in front of me now, but we had the average tax increases in one of the packets a little while ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it's a number that already exists.
yeah, so by June 1st, you're gonna have that number for sure, right? So
Yeah.
in here, we're saying January 1st. So in December, we're gonna have an airport committee meeting to adjust and then approve in January.
I guess it depends when this starts.
Starts whenever you want.
Right.
That's when the first, we
I go
have to have all
run
the
it
people
through
together
then.
before it can go.
Well, sometimes we might not get it in June, it might get pushed till.
Yeah, if a guy comes in until, and it all depends on when the leases start.
But we know the taxable values by, well, April. No, well, yeah, the L 4029, that's true. That'd be approved.
But if the airport committee just has the leases are June to June,
There's no,
You know.
each lease will be, depends on when, you might start your lease in June, I might decide, I might come to you in December and say,
so
hey,
prorate it.
next April, I want,
Yeah, so you can prorate it, but I'm just saying if the
January
year
1st.
goes June to June.
it's, yeah, cause what's the due date on the lease?
End of the year.
Yeah,
I'd rather
it's basically yearly, end of the year, calendar year.
Okay, so then go with the year previously posted. It'll be 1 year behind on inflation, but it'll never drop below.
Right.
That works.
Everybody will know, they'll know months in advance what their rate's gonna look like.
On or before the 10th day of January each year, they have to pay their.
Yeah, I like that idea, I think I'm just do it. I'd rather do it
Based off the
5
previous
year
year.
compounding. But
Well, to do the math for, is the rate gonna be the same for everybody?
yeah,
Yes,
Okay, so, except for when somebody gets in and out of leases,
no,
no,
the rate.
no, their new contract would be at a different rate.
No.
No.
It's at the standing rate of what it is that,
So everybody pays the same, no matter what.
no matter what.
yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah, if I start a lease today, in 5 years, my lease has gone up.
Yeah.
Now you want one, yeah, you don't get to start back at my year's,
No.
you'll start at the current,
Yeah.
or the current rate, at the current rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And-
rather than a unknowingly large hike every year, we sway 8 months in advance, they're gonna know, okay, my rate's gonna go up.
3%, 4%.
Or we hit the cap of 5% on property taxes this year, it's gonna be 5%.
Well, let's do it in November so we can put it in the budget as revenue.
Yeah, whatever works best for bookkeeping on your end, I would.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Tied to the whole, like this, I said, the 5 years was just to end the
But
one that.
It takes
June
effect
of
January
September.
1, just like it says in the
Right.
project already, so.
Yeah.
But we'll just figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
In budget.
Would be good for taxes, I would look
Yeah.
for tax revenue.
Yeah.
Whatever works easiest for you two, I think would be beneficial.
So it's gonna be annual based on the previous year's increase.
Yep,
Right,
And that's
fine with that.
and be done.
So we'll rework it and bring it back for next month,
You know, well,
Look,
we could, if somebody wants to make a motion,
unless somebody's got their request, you know.
bring it back
Yeah.
to rubber stamp, but, you know.
I'd rather make a motion if we're all agreeing on that.
I'm just trying to make sure everybody's got their questions answered.
What's the base rate? I didn't see that, I didn't know where.
It's in a fee schedule from the short term.
Oh, so it wasn't part of that packet.
100, I think.
Okay.
I think it's 100 on the long terms will be approved. Use your fancy AI.
I have this, the fee.
Actually, it's on the
schedule is part of
website.
this.
Oh, it's on the website.
It's on the website too.
I have this.
Okay. Well,
I'll pull it up in a sec.
Lease agreement.
if somebody wants to make a motion. No,
I'll just let you answer that question first.
I'm thinking of the way to word this.
I will, hold on. I got you on this one. Since I typed the freaking.
yeah,
You type it or I'll write it, either way.
So the move that we approve the long-term lot lease agreement for Hanley Field with the addition of the yearly increase to the rent to match the previous year's taxable value increase for Alger County. To be set.
Yep.
In November each year for the
Previous year's tax,
following year.
maybe throw average in there.
sound good, you, Joe?
So where's the original fee?
I'm looking for it right now.
It's on the fee.
It's on our-
It's on our, it's on our.
It's not part of that lease agreement.
We approved it back when we did the short-term one.
Do we do all that together?
No, we already
We
approved
did
that
it already.
last year.
The schedules are all-
Schedules
that's
are-
good.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
There, 1,200, that's right.
What were they, do you know?
It's 1,200 for the year for that.
Okay. Okay.
Pay
And
all
then
year.
you're talking 3%, probably, you're talking 3.3.
Three, whatever it is, yeah, each year, so
Whatever taxes.
whatever the average. So motion's on the table.
I'll support. Any more discussion?
I don't have any.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here, that one's
Work on the next.
on.
Good job, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good job, mate. Got us all confused.
Good look, it's actually helping us next.
Okay, bid for the attorney-client room bids. We had one,
And can we just deny it?
yes,
If we can't afford it?
that's. Was it in our packet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
$29,900.
There we go.
Did not.
You know, 29.9, we only have a $10,000 grant for that.
And it's the size of the lunchbox.
It's a little bit bigger. Not much.
What we gotta do is, do we have a motion on this?
Move to not accept the bid and put it back out on proposals.
A second.
Any discussion?
Can we get away with not having one of these, or do we need to legally have this building, or we face some trouble?
This room?
Can we push this off another?
Well, the grant only lasts so long.
Right.
Yes, it's gotta be done by September 30th, right?
Right, but are we gonna be required to have this room that we do not have, and right now we have free money and later we won't?
I don't think it's a requirement.
I mean, I didn't put it in the 2027 proposal. I know, I mean, I think it's a bigger, if there's forward progress, it doesn't make us non-compliant. But right now, we're only doing interviews in the booking cage.
I do, we
I don't wanna
wanted,
say it's a convenience. But it is right.
I'm just saying, like,
It is right,
if we turn this down 3 years from now, it becomes mandatory, now we're paying
right.
whatever that rate is. Plus the
And-
inflation
And
rate.
in fact, the public defender's office was kind to, I think she's still giving us a Zoom thing.
Yeah.
Where we wanna move all court proceedings into that room because it's quieter. I mean, we can get it done,
Yeah.
it would
Well,
be more
we-
manageable now, in my
we didn't
opinion,
budget $20,000.
so.
Right, I just wanted to know if the state's gonna step in and tell us we have to, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, if we can just put it back out on bids, and it takes a while to find somebody that can do it for our budget. As long as it's legally fine for it.
For a second, you
That made a motion, yeah.
second it?
Yep.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, okay, that one's,
What do you want the rebid period to go through at the end of the month?
yeah.
Until it's under budget.
Yeah, we get it.
Comment.
Can we advertise the budget?
I don't know.
I mean,
You can word it however you want.
No, second round, I don't know.
okay, with
I mean, it's open public knowledge right now. We have $10,000 grant to do
To
this.
spend on it.
Right. I hate to be calling contractors over and over again and keep submitting bids, just to, you know, that we're not even in their ballpark,
Yeah.
you know? I just did this with the Forest Service.
Well, I just put it in our public thing. We have a $10,000 grant, you know, we didn't budget
That's
any
what
money
we're looking
towards
at.
this, so we're trying to get it.
Somebody to get it done for the money we've got available.
Right.
So.
How big a room is it?
4 foot by 6
Big
foot.
deposit at home?
Is it 4 by 6 or 4 by?
No, it's not 4x6, it's a little bit bigger than that, I mean,
I thought it was 4 by 6.
no, that's where the two walls are. We're taking out part of a wall, so if you
Okay.
look at it totally, it's probably about 10x6,
Okay, I saw 4 by 6.
roughly, don't quote me on that, Commissioner Steve. But yeah, it's about 10x6, I would say, maybe.
Okay, number 11, operate animal control building as a volunteer shelter with part-time manager.
In quotes, unless a nonprofit organization offers to take it over wholly.
There is some discussion. There's an individual that's talking to a group of people. And I don't know for sure if they're looking to form a nonprofit or they're looking to come in and manage it under us.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're open to all. any-
so that's, there, we've got some people that are looking into that, like, seriously looking at it. But we also have to do something now.
And then mentor,
We
okay,
can't just wait months for them to make up their mind and then months to get them on board and.
Yep.
what we talking about? Are we looking at part-time, how many hours? What, or is there a pay schedule? that we're
What is it,
looking at?
17?
18.
Well, the next item will address that.
Yeah.
Number 11 basically just says that we recognize that we're running a shelter. We're
Yeah.
not running an animal control facility. Because the sheriff's department, we sat down, Wyatt and I sat down with Joel, Pam, the sheriff, the undersheriff. Eric wasn't available that day, he had an appointment. Sheriff said that, you know, it's not a problem to go back to the old way where animal control. There's a dog out running on the highway. Okay, whichever trooper, deputy, city officer, DNR officer, whoever. Duly sworn law enforcement officer in Alger County picks them up, they take them to the shelter. So they said that's not a problem, so I guess if you look at number 12. That's. At least in the interim where we would find our manager and our money for the manager, because we've already budgeted that
It
money.
just seems like we went flip-flop.
Yeah, we have.
flip-flop again.
Yep, we have.
Going back and forth.
Yeah,
Well,
there's no doubt about it.
ultimately. That day, was it 168 hours? Was that 7 days? At 7 days, it's no longer animal control, it's shelter.
Okay, and the big question I have here, right?
Yeah.
Do we have a operable building yet? Do we have a license yet?
We do not have a, we gotta do number 13 for one thing, so you can apply for the license in our name.
Yeah.
The state that, just because the building isn't up to the standard yet. They're still gonna allow us, basically to get like a punch list or a fix-it ticket of,
Yeah.
you know.
You can operate as long as you're moving
And
forward.
as long as you continue to make progress,
Alright,
then that's how we've been.
Yeah.
You know, as long as she comes for inspections and says that, you know, we're making progress on the list of insufficiencies. Deficiencies, whichever way you wanna describe them.
Yeah.
They're willing to continue to work with us, you
they're willing.
know, cause they know that we can't just fix it overnight.
Yeah.
For one, we can't find a flooring contractor who will actually give us a bid.
Hopefully, the trustee situation can fix that problem.
Yeah, if we get that stripped down and get the glue off the floor.
And this is, you said, you were saying that with a part-time manager or until we find, or.
Nonprofit or a better solution.
Yeah.
is found.
It is not the only option.
Right.
This is in quotes. For now, we'll continue to pay
the person to.
Yeah, it wasn't chicken or the egg, which one was gonna come first, 11, 12, or 13.
We just didn't wanna
It all
make
kind
one
of needs
big
to happen
giant thing.
together, yeah.
Yeah,
The,
Try to break it.
so if we take the animal control position that we have right now, make that the
Shelter manager.
shelter manager.
and sheriff will take over animal control then.
Yep, which still matches with our existing ordinance.
Yep.
And
And
we
then
have, you have a motion on this?
I'll make it,
Second,
So are you doing the two or just the?
We're doing 11 right
just
now.
number 11.
11, acknowledging that
We're
we're
running.
gonna have to have a shelter.
And that is to operate a control, animal control building as a volunteer shelter with part-time manager until.
Better solution.
Unless a better opportunity presents itself.
Right. Okay.
I thought you were kind of doing the two of them together, but that's all right.
It's kind of hard to explain all of one without
Yeah.
a little bit of the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Any
Try to
other
break it
questions
down.
on that?
I don't have any.
How many hours is part-time?
18.
He's 18 hours a week is what he's, and that money is already in the budget.
Yeah.
We're just flipping, and in all reality, that's literally where most of his hours are being spent anyhow.
And that's gonna come out of the animal shelter budget
Yep.
instead of animal to the sheriff's budget.
He will maintain,
Which is where it came out of anyhow.
he'll keep the car and the gas in the interim unless we stumble upon a volunteer manager. And then the car will have to stay down there to transport animals. But as right now, he's the person running the animals from A to B to vets and whatever else.
Oh, got a motion second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Done. Number 12. Reassign duties and title of animal control supervisor.
To shelter manager.
The shelter manager, and that would include,
Yep, the Wyatt's got the list.
creating job descriptions, job applications, duty list, schedule, and finding volunteers.
And all the paperwork that goes along with.
Yeah.
Which on the paperwork side of things, when we've gone down and sat down with the lady that runs Eva Burrell down in Manistee. He's willing to wholesale give us all their forms that we can basically just go in and change the names on and then
Yeah.
there you go. So that'll be a huge help. We don't have to start from scratch. We can just
Don't try to reinvent.
copy and paste from a working
Might as well throw,
shelter that actually works.
might as well throw in there, apply for grants.
Yes, that will also be.
Eventually,
To find funding and donations will
Right.
also be part of his job.
eventually, if
Offset the cost.
it doesn't get taken over. Hopefully the volunteers can do all of the work and then
And
this
that-
manager can just chase money.
And that is gonna be an employee of the board then, correct?
Yes,
And when will we have the job duties on paper?
Well, first we gotta assign him
I
to
think,
do
yeah.
the job duties.
I think we could conceivably have him for next month's committee meetings, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot of it,
Well, He made
He's
most
got
of
a
it
lot.
in his list of stuff that he's doing.
right?
Yeah.
He's already got a fair
But we
start
don't
on
have
that.
that, the
So
board.
we're keeping
Oh, he's
it.
doing that already. I mean, it's not listed as
Right, we'll have to find.
volunteer duty list, but right now it shows Eric's duty list of everything he's been doing
Yeah,
last.
for the volunteer stuff, I think we should.
Yeah.
Be able to have that ready for the committees to look at.
Yeah,
But you're saying Eric is staying, right?
He'd be, instead of animal control, he would be
Animal shelter.
shelter.
Manager.
Yeah.
Okay. 18 hours,
Yeah,
right?
same
same,
funds that we've already allocated,
Okay.
just switching the title and job duties of the position.
Supervisor or manager makes him feel more important even.
Do we have a motion?
Looks good when he's filling out grant applications and donation requests.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
I'll support.
any more discussion? All in favor?
uh,
Opposed? None. Okay, that brings us to 13, to establish official name for animal control building.
I like the county shelter here.
You know,
make a logo for it.
I'm trying to pull up the picture right now, cause
Yeah. Oh, it didn't get sent to everybody?
no, I
Me
need
and
to
you?
send it to you and I.
Yeah.
But there's just 2 dogs on that one?
Yeah, I mean, we can tweak it a little bit, but it's really actually. Joel fed it to the AI and I was like, he sent it to Wyatt and I was like, that makes me like the name even better.
Yeah.
You see
You
that
know,
one?
We're not
Oh, you
gonna,
got something, a different one?
Yeah.
we're not gonna get,
Yeah, I like that.
we're not gonna get
Just as
Alger
long as we
County
don't
Animal
have to make
Shelter
our
without
building look like that.
spending
That's the dog.
tons of money that we don't need to. Wyatt said, you know what, why don't we keep it simple and just call it the county shelter, because that's what people are gonna call it anyhow.
Yeah.
Be like, then that clearly defines us from the nonprofit group
Got
up
some
in.
happy dogs there.
The county shelter is just that.
Do we,
I think you could have problems with that.
Okay, what you got? Yep,
You know, the local church in Grand Marais had a question, because they have a generator, and they open up for a warming shelter during emergencies. And they had a backpacker come there that just wanted to stay, because he didn't have a place to stay, and there was no emergency going on.
so maybe we should put animal in there?
That's, yeah, I mean, you might have.
That's a fair point.
coming there.
Alger,
Yeah, it's true.
the county animal shelter.
Can I call it the county pound?
Oh, we found it.
The problem is you can't call it the Alger County Animal Shelter.
We're
We
gonna
call
get
it
rid of
county
just
animal shelter,
the county animal shelter, will that fly through?
cause that's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Yeah,
That's some guy that's out backpacking with no motel wants to
Right.
stay at the county shelter.
I mean, if he wants to sit in a dog crate, I just ain't cleaning it.
Start to volunteer.
Somebody have a motion, if that will go through our Laura, if they'll accept that.
The county animal, oh yeah, never call it Alger County.
Whatever we,
Okay.
Is it the?
yeah,
The county.
the county animal shelter and then
Oh.
Alger County, Michigan and stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, that logo is pretty darn nice, actually. I mean,
Oh, it can just replace the lane.
right, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion that we designate the county animal shelter as the county animal shelter.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? That think it'll work?
Yeah. Good catch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the county animal shelter is. 14, add department to county website and set up donation process and link.
Oh, yeah, it's the fourth step.
Yeah.
The treasurer will set up a separate line item so we can better track donations. Not only so we can better track them, but the public can see
Yeah.
if
That'll be nice too, the public. when
they can look
when
on
they
our,
donate,
they can look on our
they see their
finances.
name on that, they like, you know.
And they can see that, okay, we've taken in this amount in donations. This is what's gone out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just easier, the transparency is better.
Yeah.
And Pam said that will not be a problem to
No,
create a
Just
new line item
another
for that.
revenue number. I'm also under the link. I'm gonna do a PLC code so they can go right online.
Yep.
And hit that PLC code. So I'll set it up with the name.
Can you do a QR code?
Yeah, I think the SNA has that. Or our website has that. I think so.
A lot of people use QR codes, if we can have that. they
Put it on any, especially put it
I
on
think it
sites
does, but
or
I'll check to make
Because if
sure.
we, yeah, if we have that QR code established, like you said, all of our signage could have it,
Yeah.
Do
any of our advertising would have it.
I'll check on it.
Thank you.
Square foot.
He's still on the room. Do we have a motion for this?
Website?
Yeah.
Donation link. Make a motion. Second.
More discussion? All in favor? Opposed, none? Okay, participation in the Marquette Community Corrections Program for 2027. Do we have a motion for that, to even open it up? You have some communication on
I'm assuming you're passing it to you.
Yeah, you go.
Can you please pass along to the commissioners that I'll need an answer today if they would like to continue with community corrections for the next fiscal year, October 1st. Please let them know that we can just include them in the grant for the opioid program, TRICAP alone, instead of adding all the other services that they've been doing. And that, I don't know if I want to speak now or not. If we have a motion to open it, well, I was gonna say it, the TRICAP part I like, if they can guarantee our people coming home. And when we talk to the judge, I mean, and the sheriff, if they go to TRICAP, there's needs to be a little bit more communication. And I think that has been worked out, or will be worked out if it does happen. I mean, that's the one part I like about it. I know some of the other parts, Courtney kind of, just put a third step in stuff that we do already. And seems like it takes more time than helpful.
I'd like to know what the opinion of our
That,
folks that are using the system.
I wish Courtney if she's the one, the courts are the one that uses the other part more. You're the one more that would be using TRICAP, and because they're still incarcerated under you while they're there.
If they get sentenced to TRICAP or get the option
Right,
in lieu of
jail,
jail time.
right, they'd still be under, if they didn't go there, they're still your.
And basically the communication breakdown is, we had a few people walk out of there and we were never notified. And that was the breakdown.
Yeah.
So
That's a problem.
you got an inmate on the loose basically, or probation, not probation, but a bond violation. That's how we got him there, but we agreed that Trevor was gonna clean that up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that's been diverted into the program, sentenced into the program, whichever, they have to finish the program.
Yeah, we can still use
They walk
TRICAP,
off.
but it has to be, if we don't go with them, TRICAP will only do it, we can send them their post sentencing.
Okay,
If we're enrolled in with them,
we can divert.
we can do it.
Pre-trial.
Pre-trial is diversion.
Right, so they have a chance to clean up as soon
Yep.
as something happened.
Possibly not go to trial.
Right,
Or
that's
save the money.
Right,
Yeah.
so
better for them.
all the other services, from what I sat and listened to, I don't think is value to the county. We've used them once for a urine test in a year. And it didn't even happen here, it was, the person was a Marquette, so,
Already doing it.
right, I don't,
Staff doing it.
but I do. If everything works out, or is okay with the sheriff, I personally like the TRICAP program.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I think that was the biggest selling point for us, I believe, to begin with.
Yeah.
Was that access to the TRICAP program.
Yeah, and without being involved with them, we can only do post.
Right. And I'd rather, than
So.
pre-trial would be much better.
Mhm.
Well, you're talking about they take it down or
Yeah,
Saginaw?
yeah,
Who hauls them down there?
TRICAP.
TRICAP.
They do.
Oh, they have their
Program
own.
does.
yes. And they do haul them back too, but
Oh, they
there
don't walk off?
there is
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing. There's a little bit of a communication gap thing there that I think.
They can't hold people. If they decide to walk out, it's not like a jail, they can
But
walk
they need to
out.
notify
They can?
sheriff's department.
That's when we need to be notified.
Say, hey, so-and-so has walked off the program.
Yeah,
Fine, you go.
Much like when we
Judge
used to
has
set them
walked
up
off
on
the
mental
program.
health.
Foreign. Pick them up.
Marquette, they would notify us if
yeah.
their time was up or.
And that wasn't put,
Pick them up.
it was just, it's a new thing and it wasn't put into, TRICAP has to know that if this happens,
To
that
walk off.
the sheriff department
Has
gets
to be notified.
notified immediately.
So then what does the sheriff department do?
Put a warrant over his arrest.
Well, it depends, probably gonna make a call down the sheriff's department down there and get them looking for the person.
Yeah.
Investigate where they're at, try to find where they're at. Hopefully, the communication will be cleared up now where we'll get notified right away and hopefully, the big hope is they successfully complete.
Right.
But I think we're shooting something like an 0 for 5 right now.
Ooh.
We're not shooting good numbers and we talked about that the other night with Commissioner, with all the commissioners actually, so.
And I think too, if the person needs to know, told by the judge too, or us, when they do go there, if they do walk out, they're coming back to here. They don't just,
And they're paying for the transport fees.
well,
Right, or whatever.
TRICAP will bring them back.
I thought you said they don't must take.
Well,
Right,
they'll
for
give them-
that.
still.
Provide transportation.
They provide transportation. But I think TRICAP alone is a
What if they don't get on the bus?
volunteer only.
They're gonna
but-
have to go get them.
Well, maybe, but they gotta know that, yes, it is volunteer, they're volunteer to go there. But if they don't, if they wanna walk out earlier, they're coming back here. They're not.
You know, just go wander off, go home.
I really thought that the judge really cleared it up a lot for Trevor,
Yes.
and I think they understand now what they're looking for.
Right,
And she was pretty
yeah.
firm on that, I thought.
Doug Gibson was
Yeah.
there and that was very good. I
Yeah.
think that part will be cleared up.
If we keep it for anything but TRICAP, I think that's the most important thing to keep it for. Just to have that ability to send someone.
From my discussion at it with the people that use it would be Courtney in that has to deal with the paperwork. She says it just puts a third leg in it, where it used to be just point A to point B, now it's gotta go point A to point B to point C. It's gotta, and just more time, more paperwork and on that part of it.
My opinion is that we go with just the TRICAP portion for next year. And look at it again at the end, this time next year, and I think there's merit in bringing more of it back, we can always bring more of it back, but
And
I
it
hate to
don't-
see us lose the
and
TRICAP.
that's a grant, no cost.
So that's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I tried to do too much at first, you know,
I think so.
yeah. Which how you live.
Maybe they'll learn, you know. Our biggest problem is that we don't have a representative here. It's everything's in
for all the
Marquette.
other students.
Right, for all the other services, so all them services would have to go either Marquette
Hmm.
or we do what we've been doing anyway, so. Do we have a motion?
We'll make the motion that we participate in the Marquette Community Corrections Program, TRICAP only for fiscal year 2027. Is it the post TRICAP?
Yes. No, the pre-sexing. If we don't go with them, then we're only eligible for post TRICAP. If we go with them, we can do the pre.
Can you do both of them?
We can do both, pre and post. Anybody can do post. But if we go with community corrections, we're also eligible to go pre.
I'll support.
More discussion? All in favor?
I
Opposed? Yeah, that one's done. Schedule a public hearing for spending the Title III monies, advertising the Beacon 5/27 and 6/3 and Mine Journal 5/30. Do we have to do the Mine Journal too?
Well, we just need to fit them all in, and since a beacon only is once a week,
Okay, that's, I said,
Yeah.
we have to do that then too, okay.
yeah, we're just trying to think.
I think they're more expensive than their ones, but if that's what we have to do, we have to do it.
Which one's more expensive, mine?
I don't know, it's the Mine Journal more.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could fit them all in the Beacon,
Well, we have to do it 45 days before the public hearing.
okay,
That's why we're gonna try to get them all in
all
that
right,
window.
that was the only question I had.
Sure, if I spread it all.
Yeah. We're in motion,
Is that public hearing then this July 20th?
Yes,
It would be. Yeah, I'll make the motion that we schedule a public hearing and advertise in the municipal beacon or mine there.
Second,
and we're discussion,
what date did you say that,
it's a letter from Sam. that-
July 20th?
July 20th would be the actual hearing, the actual public hearing.
Darn it, I did.
Okay, here. Yeah, thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None passed.
Turn 16.
Number 17, response to FOIA appeal. Joel?
It's your call, man. That's my part.
What, is this?
I didn't see anything that would
I
make
don't-
me wanna override the denial in the first place.
Right,
You know, there's nothing that. Cause we have. No, down, that one.
Which FOIA?
Didn't we have an opinion back on
This
this?
is our,
It's for the GIS data.
don't we have a FOIA should show with the tour too,
no, that's city.
into the commissioner email.
It doesn't, it's not
Yeah,
our problem.
Not our problem, I wanted to just
It's
inform
not,
you.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is the one where you don't wanna pay $6,500.
Right,
Yes.
pay the fee for the GIS data
Not ours,
as a private.
we own the data.
We do.
I didn't pay for
Our
it.
data.
Do you have something you can copy them to them? Or would we have to request it from somebody?
Well, Coleman, we pay Coleman Engineering or Caligo to, house and update that. And I just wanna go on record and say, I called this guy and I explained to him that that is not a required service. And that if this kind of stuff continues, I could imagine a board saying, well, then we're just not gonna do that anymore. And he said, that has happened in other counties before, which I find kind of disturbing that you say something like that.
There was something from what I gathered, because this was done way before we started. It would, the county paid to have this done. And for a service, just like you go on our county website, the GIS, and look at anything, they want all the actual documents to it. So they don't have to, because we charge now too, if somebody wants to use all that.
And then, I mean, it's in our fee schedule.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
so it is.
The
They're just
claim
trying
that this,
they're just trying to claim it as a FOIA request, so they don't have to pay the fee.
Mhm.
That we charge for FOIAs.
Yes, but it's a different,
it'll be.
FOIA is a whole different
It would
fee
end up
schedule.
being 20.
For-
The enlarged font can pages be the same price?
It's a digital file, so.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's for a motion.
I just did.
They
I
work
make
it.
the motion to deny the appeal of the FOIA request pertaining to the GIS data.
Sure.
No support.
Any more discussion?
Is there any legal precedents that favors one way or the other?
Don't fee.
And
That language came directly from the attorney.
Start there.
That's all.
Question couldn't go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. 17B, ambulance.
Yeah, what was ambulance? You guys said we're adding ambulance, but what about the ambulance?
They wanted to bring something up.
Yeah, we're 4 years from the last two that we got. We are looking at, I reached out to EB Plus, they're 2 to 3 years out. Once you put an order in, and Todd and I started talking again, we wanted to start budgeting going forward. So I got a hold of EB Plus. We had gotten a quote beginning of the year. And they actually put our order in. We're not out anything. They don't expect it. They put it in because they can sell them. These will go, so it's already in process. When I was talking to EB Plus, our sales rep said, I'm not about used, and he knows that. They have a 2024 Ford 450, which is what we have with the road rescue box. That is what our ambulances are down in the garage now for our staff. The only reason it's got 19,000, the only reason they have it, because my first question was, what's wrong with it? He said, absolutely nothing. The company, the service disbanded. They're no longer in service. This ambulance does come with an 800 radio, comes with the electric cot with the low, second portion of it. It's got, everything that we get on our rigs and maybe a few other things, but it's basically the same rigs we've been ordering for the last 15 years, maybe. So talked to Todd about it. We have a 2009. I mean, we have a 17-year-old rig sitting out. I can't remember if it's at Rock River or Matthias. We did some switching, and honestly, I kind of lost which one's which. We would give them our oldest one, whoever has we would get rid of our 2009. Our 2015 that's sitting in the ambulance garage now would go out to the first responder that has the oldest. Talked to Pam as our treasurer for financing. We can lease it. It's a company we used before with our lease, same company. And they do a 3-year to 4-year. Pam, our payment wouldn't be due for 1 year from the day of the leasing gets signed. So if we sign June first, payment's not due until June first of 2027. Talking to Pam, Pam does, she's recommending going with the 3-year, lease. Because honestly, by then, if we can start budgeting again for some of these rigs, you guys gotta remember, we have Burt Township has a 2019, and I can tell you, they are doing mileage on their rigs. When they come to Munising, it's 100 miles round trip. When they're going to Marquette, it's 200 some miles. And they've been running a lot too, and they've been going to Marquette a lot more. So we're looking at replacing and doing some moving with what we have. And then for mileage and then just the years. So our 2 oldest are 4 years old at this time,
And
our newest, I should say.
when we got an earlier quote, it was either late last year, or earlier this
I
year,
think it was this year.
just the ambulance was quoted at $450,000.
There was some equipment on
There
there.
was some equipment, but that wasn't fully equipped. I would say to fully equip a new ambulance now would be close to $500,000 equipment now. This at 305 with only 19,000, I think we're saving in the ballpark of $150,000 to $200,000 to go with the used ambulance.
Which I typically
Which
don't.
we're starting to look outside the box a little bit, and Commissioner Seberg and I have looked at some things. We've had to, as I explained, we can't afford $500,000 ambulances. Our millage and it will not sustain us all. So I think Tina did a really nice job on this, of looking outside the box, and this opportunity presented itself. Like they put in the letter, this is a, rare opportunity. The reason this came up so quick, I apologize. They wanted an answer in 2 weeks because there's other people that want this rig. They can get rid of it right away. And we don't have to put a dime into it until next year. And usually I budget about 100
as well.
about 100 in the budget for an ambulance. So 3 years, this thing will pay itself off. And just looking at the mileage on some of our rigs right now, we got one with 63,000. Then our second one has 116,000. Then we'd have this one with 19,000, because the other ones, 207 and 182,000, those are, we gotta move them out of the fleet.
I mean, if we lived in the area, no snow, no salt and none of that, it'd be great. Rigs just don't, we will not put boxes on new chassis. That does not work.
No.
Not in this area.
Okay, hold on for a second. Last fall, we asked about this because we needed to look at ambulances. I wanted to know, because the board is responsible for them.
So we could start budgeting money
So-
ahead of time.
Right, and
We did.
we were told that we don't need ambulances for another few years. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years. But, so we can do our budget for that, and that's why we wanted to know the mileage of everything in our years, so we can start seeing, and we can find out when, how many miles do we wanna keep on an ambulance? It's all different, cause
I don't
some,
even know if we can go by mileage,
No.
though, Dean, honestly,
and
we
that's
gotta
it.
go by years,
Years.
because of where we live.
Right.
And how many, I get it, we're not, but it is, it's out in the
but we might
elements.
have a ambulance that's might be 5 years old, but it's only got 30,000 miles, but it's the one that's
Yeah.
sitting in, so we gotta really think on that side too. But if we gotta make this decision, we gotta know, like, no, you guys got the mileage on all of them in the years, we don't have that. And that's why we made
This
that,
came up, as I explained,
This was-
1 week
The
ago.
deal has come up.
That's why it's coming to you guys today, because they
We
give
weren't-
us 2 weeks to
We
make a
weren't
decision.
looking for this.
We weren't looking for this.
Presented to us.
He
He said,
and
hey,
if we don't need one, cause
Do we need one? Yeah, we need to get rid of a 17-year-old rig doesn't maybe get used a whole lot, but I can tell you that when they call us and they need maintenance on those rigs, they don't have we give them a small budget, right, to run Matthias and Rock
Right.
River. They don't have the budget. When these big fixes are coming, they're coming to us and we're taking care of it. And we've had a lot of fixes that they've been having issues.
and
It is.
And that's nice to hear now, but when we asked last fall, we were good. so we're like, okay, we're good for this, no,
Well, all that got moved.
well, see, and that's what it is.
R21 got that rig went over there. We thought everything was up to, we thought things were, but now that it's been used and going, things are starting to change. And then, when I started really looking at, like I said, we've got a 2009, 11, a 19, a 15, a 17, and the 222s.
Right, so now that we know we need one, cause we passed, I know Sam phoned one at one time, on auction that was new. That had almost no miles on it. I phoned one before that on auction that were close here, new. That we bypassed, cause, and they were cheap. I think that one went for 200, the other one was under 200, but they went for it. But if we didn't need them, it's like, we ain't gonna just spend $200,000 for something that we don't need. Now that we know that we need it, then we start looking for it.
More. This is what we've been doing. This is kind of what we've been using. This happened, like I said, I just called and said, hey, can we? I know.
There's
even-
different ways to buy ambulance, and to just buy one off of an auction block is not the way to do it.
Right.
The way to do it, the way we used to do it for years and years in the past, was you would specify the ambulance and the design of the ambulance the way that you want it and the way that you work. It was a lot of work. We would submit proposals that were 12 pages long and say, this is exactly the ambulance we want. What it sounds like this one did is it saves the requirement of putting those specifications out because it's a mirror image of what you're already using.
It's, what do you call it, the road rescue box? That's the
And
package.
That's the box, yes.
There's some big savings here that I see. I wanna ask you a question though. Are you talking the power lift cot or just a simple electric cot?
It's the power lift.
Okay, if it's a power lift cot, the first
Or
power lift
striker.
cot that we bought in this county, I was a sheriff when we bought it.
Yeah,
And I convinced this board to buy the cot because it was a $45,000 cot. And we bought it after we just paid a workman's comp claim for $45,000 for a back injury on the ambulance. So it actually eliminates and saves your workman's comp claims. That was, I've been retired
think-
10 years, so that was 20 years ago that we bought our first power lift cot, $45,000. Those things probably gotta be at least $60,000.
I think they're 80.
Haven't gone down,
I think you're close to 80 for the pack.
So,
That comes with it,
that's a big savings right there. And, you don't have to specify that out there because it's already in there, and that's a big chunk of change. And that
Plus it's
800
the radio.
megahertz radio, you should know the cost of an 800 megahertz
It's
radio because you
between
just bought one
10,000.
for Grand Marais ambulance service.
Over 8 grand.
There's another,
But if we have one,
Yeah.
it'll just get replaced into there. We don't have to buy another new one.
Yeah. but I mean, it's coming with an $8,000 product installed in it, so.
We can always use an extra.
But it still has to be templated to us.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
still
you're
gonna be
That's,
Still cheaper. than
That's
buying it.
mine.
cheaper, yeah.
That's
but
minor.
It's gonna take.
Oh.
they also will they quoted us 320. Sheriff did say, hey, and I've worked with EV Plus since Bob was on as a sheriff. Honestly, we've been dealing with these, so I called them back up. They called me back, gave me the 305 final, which I thought was a pretty good cost savings with that. Because there's a wrap on there with the old service,
Mhm.
they're redoing the wrap for us. The wrap that because that's who does our wrap now. That is included in here. That's not an extra, that's all. So we'll be under Alger County ambulance, they'll do all of it.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, at one point, when we're working out the math for the airboat, we had pulled $90,000 that we were gonna use from ambulance for that.
We
We have
assumed
since put that back,
Came from cost appropriation, correct?
right?
Yeah.
We've already,
Pension fund distribution.
Yeah.
right. Right, so that, we've now not touched that. So we basically got almost next year's payment already set aside.
Yeah.
So,
Unless I'm wrong in my, the way I'm looking at that,
No,
because we didn't take 90,000 out of ambulance.
Yes, we did.
yeah,
Took a
we
hike.
took the vehicle, a portion that was already in there, we were gonna take 60 from capital improvements and 30 from.
Okay.
So, the.
That's why I'm asking.
That part came with the DTR, not DTR.
This 100,000 though is deferred in here, it says first payment not due till next year.
Right.
Which we
So
were
you
We
gonna.
were gonna budget 100,000 for next year anyhow,
So it's just 13 over what we're going to.
so we could build up for what we needed to go on. So that payment's already, even though I was incorrect,
Kind of accounted for.
we've already said that we need to do that for next year before we even knew about this, so.
I got another question. You keep saying lease, and I know you lease your cars. And when you lease your cars, you turn them back in and you don't have anything when you're done.
No, these are
This is a
yours.
lease to buy.
This is, as soon as that last payment is made, it is ours. It's the same company we used with the first 2022 we got.
I just
They
wanna make
send
sure,
it.
'cause
we're
we leased them
done. It's
before,
ours.
paid $1 for them at the end and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, it's the same company and we only leased that one and last payment and it becomes.
So it's not like you getting rid of your Jeep every year and.
This is an opportunity that came up. You know, it's probably a year earlier than we really would have started shopping, but it's there. We have this opportunity, you know, looking at the rig
Save
now.
money in the long run.
We'll have a 22, a 22 and a 24. Hopefully that should get us into 27, 28. You know, it should get us down the road
Save money on.
3 more years.
I
But
think
what's
the
the
only way
reason-
you're gonna get into new vehicles are by the leasing program.
But what's the reason that it's used?
So the service
up-
that EV Plus had got this rig for, the
Disbanded.
service disbanded, they shut down. They are no longer operating as an ambulance service. Cause that was my first
So
question,
they got it back.
We
yes.
got a lemon not that long ago.
Oh, that was, Bob, you were
That
here.
was a long time ago. I think Michael was still working for us.
But they,
That's
they do.
But, and that's not, yeah, unfortunately, that can happen with, I mean, it did happen with the brand new rig that we got, and
That
I
wasn't-
fought hard on that one.
That wasn't a brand new one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
was a
let me
brand new
talk-
Chevy
I'm talking-
chassis.
I'm talking about jumbo.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
Jumbo,
this
yeah,
is,
Jumbo was its own special.
yeah, that was a different one.
Yeah,
That
I was here
before
for
me.
that.
Yeah,
How many ambulances are there total? I was
how many do
rattling
we
up,
have?
rattling up the dates, the ages, but is it 6 or 7?
We have 4, 6, we have 7.
It's 7.
Yeah, Sturt Township has one. We, Commissioner Seaberg had asked, we were gonna get rid of the 2015. He said, can you keep it just in case something does go down and we need it? Burt's has gone in for some service. That's been more than just an oil change. We've sent that over for them and
For municipalities similar to our size, how old do you think the oldest ambulance is? In the-
ours right now is it's 2009.
Right, I know what ours is, but what's generally, what's a standard? This thing's done.
So I do have we have one person that works part-time up in Marquette and
Do they go by years or miles or just general condition?
kind of a little everything, but and he'll be the first one to tell you. Up there, they're taking boxes and putting them on chassis. And their stuff, he said, it's falling apart. It's in the shop constantly.
So even if you got rid of one, the 15 or whatever the extra is. And you're down to 6. You replace one every other year. That would mean your oldest vehicle will out. Ten years ago, how many ambulances did we have in the county?
What we have right now,
10 years ago?
It's always
I
been
would say
6.
so when you might.
I mean, shoot, back when I was.
We always wanna have, if possible, 3 rigs that can respond.
Right,
Yeah.
good.
We had 3 in the
Right now we have
garage when I
6.
was still doing it,
No,
many
no,
moons
no,
ago.
you're-
We had 3 running rigs.
How many did the county?
Yeah,
The most important thing is the 3 you have, right?
yes.
Right, but right now,
The fourth one, like I said, was Dean had asked us to keep it, and it doesn't really, which bothers me because the more it sits, it's just gonna cause more and more
Well,
problems. But
can we use that one to put over and put that one in the rotation right now instead?
in our rotation?
No, not in our rotation, that 4th one.
move the 15, maybe replace the 11 and move the 11 to the 09.
And keep 6 in inventory instead of 7.
No, yes, I understand.
Shuffle
Yes.
them down.
Right, if
You
we
take this fourth one,
we don't want, need that,
and kick it over.
Fair.
I'm putting it down, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then our third
yeah.
rig,
so that,
ready to cover.
Oh, yeah.
what,
You gotta remember, every time we do this, I have to relicense everything with the state.
well, that's,
We do have us inspect, I have all, I
Right.
have to like downgrade, upgrade, move, and it does. It
and
is a
that
thing.
was the reason why we kept the one here, because you were saying that it's easier just to leave it and not have to do all that all the time. But if it's costing us, can we use that one and send it down the road to, if that one's better than Grand Marais, put that one there, and then take the one from Grand Marais, bring it over to Matthias, or,
Right, but
Yeah,
ultimately,
the 2009 is the one that we would be getting rid of.
so you're
And then the
saying,
15 would go.
so 6 total would be the perfect amount.
Mhm.
So
3
like
here,
Dwight's saying, if
3
we
throughout the
change
county.
them right now every 2 years on 6.
Your oldest vehicle is 12 years old.
There's
old.
actually, I could get rid of 2 if we did that.
because the only reason this conversation worries me is because right now we're in the position of, we have a wide variety of ages, they're spread out decently. But you're saying 3 to 4 year replacement plan. Next year, 4 years from now, all of these are gonna be 15 years old or older.
Yeah,
That 4 year replacement plan doesn't keep up with what we're trusting your needs are. You don't want them that are 12 years old.
We are looking, I think it's been about every
3 to 4 years.
3 to about 4 years. I don't even think 3, and I think it was more just because.
that's because that 1 year we
The
bought
only-
2.
But that,
What was that?
the math
1 year we
doesn't
bought
work.
2.
2022, those are our 2 new
We
ones.
knew the cost was going way up. And we got rid
Yeah,
of our.
that's what I said though. But if we were to buy one every 4 years,
That's why we have
and we
it.
got 6, if we have 6 rigs, they'd be 20, our oldest one would be 24 years old.
Right now, the vehicles you got are 11 to 15, 2 years apart, or sorry, 4 years apart, then you have 2, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
So mathematically, if you're gonna have 6 and you want them to be less than 15 years old,
You gotta do it every 2 years.
you're gonna have to do every 2 years and then once every 5 years. you-
That would be the ideal thing to do, but financially, we know we can't do that.
Well, we have to find a
Unless
long-term
you don't
plan rather
progress,
than,
like
we
you
still
just
have us a deal, I mean, not as you guys, but as
Right.
us.
No,
Because-
typically, we would have been, but this is our 4th year.
To
If it
start.
was a 2022, we would be
Process.
starting the process. Yeah, we had started the process, actually. That's why he budgeted, because we had started the process thinking, and because there is a delay in getting it built.
We had talked about budgeting every year, not just when we think, okay, in a
Yes.
couple years,
Right.
so that we can. So we can get enough. money in
Reality
there
is
to
leasing
at
is
least
gonna be
do
the
every
way
3
for-
years.
It is.
I don't disagree, and I think all those options are good. I just think everybody in this room is joking themselves if they think that they're replacing an ambulance every 4 years.
No.
Because our equipment is aging faster than we can replace it already. And if you're gonna tell yourself 4 years from now, it's gonna be any better, 4 years from now, that 09 is still gonna be an 09. And even if that one gets dropped, that 2011, 4 years from now, it's gonna be 19 years old.
That's why we've
You're
started
pushing
putting
the
money
fleet older and older.
every year aside for it.
So at whatever this cost is gonna be, if this is the move is to get this one at a deal, that's great, but 2 years from now, you gotta, maybe if you don't have to, don't, we need to be financially ready.
I'm getting at.
Yeah, but why is this, when they're talking about it, it's already 2 years old.
That's fine if the deal comes along,
This would be.
but we need to
This
be
should-
prepared to spend 305
This should drop.
every other year.
Right.
Going up.
But what I'm pointing out, is this 2024 is already 2 years old.
Yeah.
If you're going by the year,
Yeah,
Right,
but you only got 19,000 miles.
right. You can't really go by.
Is that, ambulance fully equipped for that price? You're fully equipped.
every backed up.
Everything.
It's got a blanket warmer, it's got everything, it's got all the bells and
All
whistles
the
we've
things-
always added in.
I take
The
your jump bags and all
radio,
that stuff.
yeah,
We should have to put another dime into it.
But we're
Should,
still 2 years old.
right,
That's why the,
right.
And Wyatt's saying it,
if you go by the
It's
year of the
everything
vehicle, I know, what
already
we- yeah,
My big thing is mileage too,
It's
is,
only 2 years
Yeah.
old.
and what we don't know is how many miles a year do we average
it
it
could,
on?
it'd be a great thing to tell you.
And that's why we put that,
It's,
In our
you know,
policy,
1
so
year
we're gonna
we
start
could
tracking
have,
we're gonna
they could
start
put
tracking.
100, I mean, just depends on,
Right,
there is no way for me to tell you that,
I know.
honestly.
In the future, we will be able to know that because
Yeah.
we're gonna every year track that. And I just have personally, I have a hard time spending this just, I see it today and when it wasn't even on our mind, thinking that we don't need an ambulance for 2 years. So we're budgeting for that. And now we get told.
We're
we do
budgeting
need
for
one,
next
which
year.
fine,
This is
but we
next
want
year's
to budget
budget.
Today.
well, you're not.
We were gonna.
We're not
be
paying for it
budgeting,
this year.
But we were gonna, we did put in and he was gonna
Next
put in
year.
again.
You're gonna pay for it in interest. I mean, one way or the other.
We just did it for a year
Yeah.
for a boat, and the primary
the
primary reason for the ambulance award is to fund ambulance equipment and personnel.
You know where it is?
Brings me
So,
up
I
from,
mean,
For sure.
was
And
it
that's
a
what-
rig, was
but-
it a
but
outlet
it's-
rig?
Really
I
positive
want,
on that.
I was a
I'm
big
sure-
push to try to find
I'm
out,
sure
we need
it was
up to date ambulance,
Right.
and then
Great.
last fall,
Because
we were told we don't need one.
Plus about how
Right, and then now today we need one,
they have
we
a
want
lot
this
of.
one.
Well,
different-
And I don't know that it comes down to
They came out
need,
the wrap.
it's a deal was presented, it's a thing, we're gonna stay
at this point.
Right, but we just passed up a couple
Or
of them
before,
because we didn't know they needed them.
Um,
Sam
the
brought
rep
up one
did
and I
say
brought
that
one up.
initially they'll
that
probably
were-
deny it, but.
But
we
it's
need-
still the same
we should
thing.
get the
They
three-
closed
the 5
down,
year for
replaced
free,
it,
so we
they
get
lost their
5 years,
license,
100,000.
And they had to get rid of their
So we
ambulance.
would
It
have
wasn't
three-
that it
we
was a
would-
bad
Could
ambulance.
have 3 year. with
It's just-
100,000.
They
And-
lost their
And that can
license.
get still.
And it went for 200.
board
Look at
for
everything.
But this
I'll go
one,
back to
I
what
go,
Steve
oh,
said,
right, have that.
because I have.
another 100,000 is all the good
The
stuff.
back in the day, every rig was different,
Mhm.
and it was
Band.
confusing and it was a pain, every rig. Whatever item you needed was in a
Consistency,
different place,
100%.
so that does,
It
The
does.
only difference on this one is the compartments. Where we keep it, we don't keep any openings on the outside typically when we have them built, just because it is another.
or crutch.
They have more, it's the same setup, they just have more access to it, where we typically will keep those off of there, but it's the same setup, it's the road rescue. Yeah,
So.
But the money's there if we wanted to do this, right?
No. We didn't budget this.
It's for next year.
it's for
year.
next year.
Right,
We're spending next year's money.
Which we planned to budget for.
Or not spending.
Which we would have been budgeting that
We're
amount in
committing to
there
spend it
anyhow.
anyways.
I would have budgeted $100,000
For
next
next
year.
year, for ambulance, yeah,
Yeah, it would have been in the 27, it's
I
like
think
this
we
year.
were talking going more than that even.
if we could.
Well, the way I look at
113.
it, if 300 grand's the cheapest you're gonna get, and it needs to be getting on a 2 year schedule, we need to be budgeting
This
like
helps.
150
That's what I said, we were
minimum.
If there's room,
thinking more.
yeah,
We do our best to,
I think the deal. I
to
think
milk
the
them as
deal
long
gives
as we
us
can
A step. in the
before
right
coming to you
direction.
guys. Our newest rig's a 22,
Yeah.
so we haven't been before the board in 4 years for an ambulance, so these guys and the medics and the EMT, they really do their best before they come before you guys and say, hey, we need an ambulance. spent well, it'll be 5 years when we pay for the next one.
But we tried this last fall. The whole thing was, we knew we needed ambulance. I thought we did. And I thought, do we need them? And I was told, we don't need them for another 2 or 3 years. Is what was bring to the board, that we're good. And it's like, oh, okay, good. Then we'll start budgeting for that.
Realistically, we could breathe, but 2 years from now,
Can you?
can we find this same spec ambulance for 300?
We're
About
gonna
all
pay-
ambulances.
we're gonna pay 600 in 3 years.
Yeah.
Just so you know, when they go on auction, I think everybody, this is a very reputable company that we purchased for years. When they go on auction, let's just face it, okay, we disbanded, we're auctioning this up. We don't know what kind of shape it. This company goes through these things.
Yeah, the fact that it's
And
already
they
set up,
back of them before they put them on the road.
you know, that it's mirrored to
And
ours,
there's other companies that do
it's
that.
coming with the contract,
I
and all
think they
its
do too, yeah.
So.
pieces already.
I just don't like it's 2 years old.
I did,
What kind of-
honestly, I don't, I'm not.
Yeah, what kind of warranties?
But-
What kind of warranty they give us?
So I talked to him about that, because it's a Ford, we are a Ford fleet.
Yeah.
We would have, it would, in 2024, it would have came with a 5-year, 100,000 drivetrain. Obviously, it's 2 years old. He said Ford's probably gonna deny it initially to roll over, but we have some type of PIN number that he will give us to apply for it. He said, but they should go with the 3-year, $100,000 or 100,000 miles.
We only got 1 year on. Or they'll.
3
No,
more.
us, 3 years.
Because it's a fleet, typically it's a 3-year, because it's fleet, it's a 5-year, but because it's a 2024, you still would get it.
We would still be able to pick up a 3-year.
Yeah, which I would fight, I mean,
At
I
no
would fight
cost.
for that.
I mean, at no cost, so the warranty, a lot of times you can buy it.
Yeah, not
No, I asked that, and he said, no, it's just
If from forever, the county buys 2-year-old ambulances every other year. The oldest vehicle will only ever be a 14-year-old rig, and that would be one of the ones sitting at the.
Yeah.
Volunteer shops.
And if we get in a bind 1 year, we can,
You're in a position where you have
Or
a
we get-
regular schedule that you could
Yeah.
hop if you needed.
or you get another year where a great deal like this comes along, and you can jump your schedule.
or we can finally get our mileage and say, this is what we actually use, this is what we need, this is where.
And it's gotta be a combination of years and mileage. I don't think you
Yeah,
need one or the other.
shape.
I was talking to Joel today
It's
too.
all rusted out,
In my,
Right, that's what,
it's gotta be in shape too.
yeah,
yeah,
in the,
and that's what I mean by years and mileage combined.
Do you know where the,
Well,
where the
Is your drivetrain falling apart, or is your body
Initially,
falling?
I
and there's
don't
another
know.
aspect of that too.
I'm
And
assuming
it's,
Bob
when I
looking
was
at the
running business-
photos, it was from,
we would put down every piece of equipment maintenance log to it. So we could look at like, this thing is nickel and diming us to get to
Right, it's
that.
time for it to go.
This one's, it has to go, you know.
If I were the board, you got an ambulance director that started the paramedic service in Alger County. We wouldn't be where we're at today without Sheriff Hughes. This guy's a knowledge base when it comes to, this is right up his alley. If he thinks it's a good buy, you're probably getting really good advice. If he thinks it's a bad buy, I'm not sure.
I think it's great, but
It's probably getting good advice because this is what this man did for 30 years of his career.
I know, and that's what I'm looking at. I don't disagree, it's not a good buy. It's just the timing of, we don't need ambulances to now we do need it. You know, good buys come through every.
You know, if things change.
a lot, yeah, a
And I
lot
don't know
did
when I
change,
would care.
mean that we've been putting in some, between the other services, even just the wear and tear on the daily rigs.
This is 8 months.
It's,
well, 8 months ago, we had a hovercraft too.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
we need.
You know, and honestly, Dean, that conversation was probably had between you and I am one that tries to kick it down the road a little bit, so the county doesn't have to come up with it. And she's the one in my ear saying, Sheriff, we need to look at this. I wanna kick it down the road a little bit more, and she's,
This
Sure.
gets us closer to a.
it's a good
rotation
thing I
where
got her in my ear.
That's what I was
because-
looking at.
For a gang.
well, I just know the cost is gonna be, it's
Whatever
just.
conversations were had or decided
Right.
previously, nobody had a replacement
Right,
plan.
this is a,
There needs to be,
yeah, this is a good kick in the right direction.
whether
To
it's
start
police cars,
getting
ambulances.
our
fire
mileage
trucks.
and our years down.
No, we've had plans. We try to every 3 to 4 years, lease an ambulance.
I don't think.
Every
4
3 to 4 years, lease a
Yeah.
patrol car.
Well, we need a shorter
If
rotation.
you get
but
everybody's
that's
in agreement, you need to get one.
Sooner?
Shorter, yeah.
Problem is,
Max of 3.
we don't have that kind of money.
Right,
Worst
Well,
case
we
scenario,
gotta
you
work
end up
with
with an ambulance,
Yeah.
the time and hope.
This
It's worth
helps.
Some money, it's helpful.
this,
Right now, they're-
this helps that problem.
Well, the last one.
We get to inject at
Yeah.
a good price, newer rate.
It's gonna kill
Well, the
us.
one thing I look at is, yes, use that.
Already
so
pre-planned.
Payment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
You're gonna,
And you were gonna.
they're charging interest,
You pay after, it's,
yeah.
somebody's making money.
Well, they want
I'm
you
for
to-
this ambulance
To get Scott to see where it.
only because
I won't.
I don't see a rotation, and this could be the start of a rotation with a $200,000 reduction.
That's why we just started, I don't know if you were on yet, we just voted in to have in our policy, we're gonna have all of our vehicles
Right,
every year, so we can start seeing that.
by the sounds of it,
We've never had.
by
it.
the time you get that information, the steel will be gone.
Oh,
This
So you
gone
can get that
next week.
info,
Another few days.
but if you get that information,
That was.
then, okay, now we're buying a $500,000 one, you know.
I agree,
If I may,
yep,
I make a motion that we go ahead and purchase this ambulance at a $305,000 cost. Using the 3-year lease program, deferring the first payment until next year in 2027.
What's that, does anybody know what the interest rate is on that?
Yeah, I got
Before we just say
and this is a.
5.49.
Motion on the table.
5.49.
I'll support it.
There we go.
Okay, now
Now we can
discuss-
discuss it again.
Good.
5.4, and it's owned at the end.
Yep.
5.4
5.49%
$50,000
for used vehicle. rental?
dollar, I think it's $1.
Right, we
It
used.
used to
the
be
same
$1.
Lease company with one of our 2022s, which was the first time I've ever used the county, but I'm the one that dealt with the guy. They've been wonderful, and I think the treasurer made that last payment and we got the paperwork. So we didn't pay any more.
So the exact miles are 300 and what?
No,
No,
that's price.
19.
No, the price, I mean.
Miles.
Oh, sorry. The price.
305,000.
305.
oh, you're
Okay.
After,
I had 350, then I had 320.
Well, initially, yeah, they
They
did.
talked them down 50,000.
The last time I talked to him, he said I'll do 305.
Oh, are we gonna, if with this, you would get rid of 2 ambulances then?
I'm thinking we can.
Down to 6.
I'm thinking instead of having the 4th one sit down here and not get used, I don't have staff to put in it, honestly. I think we can auction that off, and what I like for is, even if it's $1,500 for the 2009. I'd like to put that back into the ambulance
And the 11 we.
and the 11, but put
Put
that
into
back
the-
into the,
Into the, yes, into the budget.
for a new,
for
for,
the
yeah,
next ambulance.
It'll
Yeah.
go right back into the ambulance.
do we get any,
vehicle line.
Right, the vehicle line.
Then the oldest one we'd have is a 2015. That would be down here, and then the 17 would come down here also.
So if we did,
Because I would probably they would get one. We would get rid of the 2009 for one of our first responders.
Countywide, we'd go down to 6 instead of 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
The 911
honestly, I
is-
think it's feasible
Right.
because we just don't have the staff.
what kind of break would they be looking at if they did a 2-year instead of 3? Because realistically, 2 years from now, it'd be
I
nice to
honestly
again.
don't know. I can get back with this.
and that is a good discussion too, because then we're still paying.
Paying out the
We're doing a
last one.
2-year,
It is, but the 3-year fits with what we've already planned for.
but. If the 2-year, if we do a 3-year and we're gonna get another one in 2 more years, cause. I can see where he's saying we're gonna need one every 2 years. Or else we're gonna be aged out, so in 2 years from now, we're gonna still have a year